Eyes locked from across the room, hot sweat dripping, bright neon light.
Hi there, my stems, my stemmy stems, my stemmy stems. How are y'all? Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing good. Hopefully, January has been doing y'all right. It is now January 21st, okay? I have been talking about a Bible series on my page literally since last year.
Flashback.
So I was sitting here prepping for a YouTube series that I plan on starting really soon. You should go sub to my YouTube channel down below. Much appreciated. And it's basically me going section by section of the Bible, not in full, but stories, relevant parts, and just retelling them in my own little quirky fashion.
End of flashback.
And I spent all of last year trying to figure out how to do this. There was an entourage of downs. We gonna take this new year as an up. Okay, it's a new chance. The series is going to be named Bible Chattins. We pick a Bible story and we gonna just talk. Okay, remember, let's keep discourse at civil. Everyone has their different ways of seeing things and interpreting things. I'm not here to say that I'm right, nor am I here to say that you're wrong. This is just the way that God revealed things to me. This is just how I roll my dice. We all just here to listen to some funny stories, okay? No hard feelings, no judgment, no nothing. Okay. So originally what I was planning on doing was going in sequential order, like Genesis through Revelation. And then I filmed that. And let's just say that the end of 2025 didn't really like that formation all too much. What happened was I filmed everything. I would film it over and over again throughout the entire year. And if it was in corrupted files due to SD cards that I should have known better than to be buying, just every time I would film when I had the Canon Rebel T7, because it was in a filming camera, it would shut off on me. So I'd be there rambling for like an hour only to have 15 minutes of actual footage. Several times, the closest I ever got was I filmed it. I believe it was my Sony that I had at the time, or my current Sony, I mean. I filmed it, edited it, it got deleted. All of my progress got deleted. Then I've edited it again, and I finished editing, was trying to export, had that thing sitting there for like 2 days. It got to 60%. Came to my room to eat some dinner. We went back out. All of a sudden, my camera was shut off, and all of that was lost. Yeah, let's just say I was frustrated, to say the very least. Decided to kind of just postpone this whole thing until this year, but we got a better laptop, we got a better camera, and I have released videos using both of them. So if this don't work, somebody getting pimp slapped for sure. For sure. That's all I gotta say. So I decided that, you know what, let's be different. Let's change it up. Maybe that's just not the way I'm supposed to go about things, because I was also being very like analytical and like preachy about it, and that's not how I want to go about it. I want it to be fun. I want it to be enjoyable. I want it so that even people who might not necessarily care about the faith aspect are like, she mad funny. Like I can put this on as like background noise and it won't be that bad. So what we're gonna do is we just gonna pick a story. We're gonna talk about it. We might, I'ma still dive into like God's meaning and stuff, but like I'm being so serious. I filmed from like Genesis chapter 1 through 3, and it was an hour long because I was stopping at every single word. and like dissecting it, and I was like, I thought I told myself that's not what I wanted to do.
Blah, 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 blah.
See, that's my problem. So I say I'm gonna do things and I do too much. So what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna start episode 1 with the book of Ruth. Why? Because something that I didn't even fully peep, and the white one broke on me last video. That's hilarious. That's real funny. Real funny. We're gonna bring out the blue. We're gonna stick on theme with the blue. Something I have realized is that many people confuse the story of Ruth not as a story of faith and trust, but as a love story. And I'm here to tell you, the book of Ruth is not a love story.
You need to leave.
Ruth and Boaz did not get married because they was in love. They got married out of obligation. We gonna get through to that. So let's commence with, let's move forward with Bible Chattings, episode 1, Ruth and Boaz. So a little bit of background if you do not know. Our main characters in this story are going to be Ruth, her mother-in-law Naomi, and then Boaz. So Naomi had 2 sons and her husband, but at the time there was a famine that was taking place, and it doesn't specify how the men die, if it was due to the famine or due to illness, or they went out hunting or something and they passed on that way. It does not specify. But at this point in the story, Naomi's husband is dead. There is the other daughter-in-law called Orpah. How do you pronounce her name? Orpah, yeah. Orpah was married to one, and Ruth was married to one son. Now all the men are gone. Ruth was a Moabite, was a woman from Moab. So a Moabite, I believe, is what you would call them. So her beliefs and traditions and stuff are obviously contrary, not necessarily contrary, but just not the same as Naomi, who obviously was a Jew and followed in the ways of the Israelites. So after the sons have passed and her husband was gone, she looked at her 2 daughter-in-laws and said, listen, the best thing for y'all to do is to just go and remarry, because I can't give y'all no more husbands, because what you gonna do? Hope and pray that I get married again and then wait 18 more years? By that time your womb will be closed and there's literally no point. So Naomi was basically like, I'm highly advising you, I'm already going through enough. Go live life. Just go back to your people. So Orpah at first was kind of like, you sure? But then Naomi was like, yeah. So Orpah dipped. She said, I'm gone. But Ruth was like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm staying with you, and I will follow the God that you serve. Give or take, you could kind of say that she decided to convert to Judaism at this point, or we're just going to refer to it as Judaism because obviously we're like, come on now, we're just going to say it's Judaism. She decided, you know what, I'm not leaving Naomi's side. I'm staying with Naomi, and I will serve the God that you serve. I will follow your traditions. I'm just not leaving you at all. And no matter how much Naomi was like, Ruth, go on about your business, she said, you are my business. I married into your family. We locked in, twin. We like this now. What you mean?
Hey, what we is? For lifer.
So, lo and behold, now you have Naomi and Ruth. Naomi was like, okay, so you're not gonna leave. We're gonna go ahead and journey ourselves over to Bethlehem because that's where she's from. That's where her family is and stuff. So they retreated there. Obviously, these are now 2 widows, and the Bible has a lot of care for widows. So there's laws in the book of like Leviticus and Numbers and stuff that kind of say, you know, tend to the widows and those who are lesser, you know, because they need the help, they need the care. There was a kinsman of Naomi named Boaz. kinsman as in like family relation in her family circle and stuff. And he just so happened to own a field, very, very large field. He was of wealth, to say the very least. After Naomi and Ruth arrive in Bethlehem, and they've been there for a little bit, Ruth says to Naomi, I'm gonna go see if I can get us some, some corn or something off of this land and pray that these people will be charitable. So she makes her way onto Boaz's land, and I don't believe that she knows that it's Boaz at this point. Neither does Naomi. She asks all the servants, I will pick up whatever y'all leave behind. I won't interfere with your work. Just please allow me to glean here and like pick up something for me and Naomi. So they let her do it. And eventually Boaz comes out to check up on everyone, and he's like, who that in the back? But not in like a flirtatious way. It was just kind of like, who is this woman who you guys have allowed on to my field? So the servant explains everything to her. Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go through after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art athirst, go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Again, Boaz was very charitable. He had no reason to be upset with her trying to get some food. He was like, listen here, none of these people are allowed to bother you. Take as you please after them. If you get thirsty, there's water back there. Can't nobody tell you can't get a sip. I'm telling you, you can drink some water. I'm telling you, you can get some grain. So obviously, Ruth is kind of confused because she, again, is a Moabite. She didn't grow up, or she was not raised in a place that was accustomed to doing these type of things. So she's like, sorry. Why you being so nice? And Boaz answered, and he said, it hath fully been shown me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. I promise I can read. It's just that my eyes move faster than my mouth, and my mouth moves faster than my brain. And then by the time I process that I said something wrong, I just get stuck. Listen, I'm getting off my phone. One of my resolutions for 2025 was to delete my TikTok accounts, which I did. I'm starting to watch longer form content, and I really need to get back into my books because it's getting embarrassing how much I stutter, how much I have to restart lines, and just the disconnect between my eyes, mouth, and brain when it comes to reading. So I promise I'm proficient in reading. It's just something happened between 2022 and now where my processors just haven't been the same. It's a work in progress. Basically, Boaz is like, listen here, it takes an immense amount of faith for you to decide to leave behind what you know to follow someone and something in a path of people that you don't know. Because again, she was a Moabite. And we know all the stories about the Moabites in the Bible. For her to get up and say, you know what, I'm basically about to go join the Israelites. Not because, I'm converted or I'm saved. It's because I refused to leave Naomi. And since she's an Israelite, I myself shall also be an Israelite. Boaz was like, for your faithfulness, believe it or not, the God that you are now choosing to serve will reward that faithfulness. And so then he continues to give grace to her, and he's like, at mealtime, we'll have something, something set aside for you so that you can eat and stuff. He was basically telling his servants, take care of her. Simple. Take care of her. After, Ruth is allowed to collect, she drinks water, she eats, everything like that. She returns back onto Naomi, and she tells her, this man named Boaz was very generous to me. He allowed me to glean. He allowed me to collect. He fed me. He, protected me. And the moment that Naomi heard Boaz's name, she began to give praise. Why? Because he was a kinsman of Naomi. He was a family close relative. He just so happened to have been on Naomi's husband's side. This is again where I feel like people really kind of confuse what takes place as, oh, God removed her past husband to give her new. That's not what happens, because again, these are not the traditions of Ruth. These are the traditions of Naomi. Ruth was simply following instructions, which obviously there's a deeper meaning in that. We're going to get to that at the end of this. Don't worry, let's not rush the process. So Naomi gives her the instructions of, wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. But make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be, when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he shall tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me I will do. Previously in chapter 2, at the end in verse 22, it says, and Naomi said unto Ruth her daughter-in-law, it is good, my daughter, that thou goest out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in another field, in any other field. Why? Because Naomi already knew the tradition, which was, if a woman is to marry and her husband died. Oh, does this have the arm slits? It was written in the law. This is the law of the Israelites, because remember, this is after Moses brings the people to the promised land. So they are now going and living by the Mosaic law. And it is said that if a woman is to marry and her husband dies, leaving her with no children, then there is a path, like a lineage, that you now have to follow to bear children. But here's the caveat, is that if she does bear children, it is now in the name of the deceased, and it's not being claimed as the child of the person. So for example, if I was to get married back in this day, we're not talking about 2026, we're talking about, something BC, before Christ. If I was to get married to somebody and they pass, like let's say that they go to war and they die, and I don't have any children, if they have a brother, I would then go to the brother and marry the brother to continue on the name of my now deceased husband. But if I am to bear any children, the child would not get the name of the brother, it would get the name of my deceased husband in order to continue on his lineage, if you know what I mean. If I marry that person and they die, you continue. Now obviously if you go ahead and you jump over to the Christ era, in John, this is when they were trying to stone the adulterous woman. That's what I read last night. Mixing them up. But the high priest, the holier than thous, brought forth a situation of, okay, so let's say that a woman gets married and her husband dies. She marries the brother, he dies. She marries another brother and he dies. Who does she belong to? And Jesus was like, that don't matter in heaven. That's the least of your concerns, because those relations just don't exist. And also it's like, that's not needed anymore. Which again, Jesus has made it very clear that he didn't come to overwrite the law. He just came to correct some things, because he is now the atonement. And he was like, y'all don't need to be doing nothing with y'all siblings. Y'all haven't had to do things with y'all siblings for a long periodically time. Y'all don't need to be going down the family lineage. So that got corrected. The instructions that Naomi was giving her was because, to her knowledge, to Naomi's knowledge, Boaz, being in the kinship of her deceased husband, was now next in line to marry. And because Naomi was of older age, she was like, rather than me go do this, I'm gonna send you to go do this. And Ruth, being obedient to Naomi, was like, okay, sure, just tell me what to do. So she said, clean yourself, figure out where he's gonna sleep, and then lay at his feet, okay? You know, Ruth is obedient and she does that. So now, you know, it's the night time, and Boaz go ahead and he said, hold on.
So I am beyond agitated right now because, right, come hither. Come with me, right? As you can see here, I'm in the middle of editing. And during the aforementioned video, I did a skit, right? Unbeknownst to me, the camera was not focused during the first half of this entire segment. So now I'm going to reenact what I did. And hopefully I'll get, and this kind of helps too because you're able to differentiate between the two characters. So I'm gonna do this again and make sure that this thing is actually, you know, focused. So again, Boaz is over here minding his God-given business, like yawn. What a crazy day, bro. I've been highly favored, blessed, given the ability and the chance to give praises to the Most High. I could really use some sleep.
I'm just lay here. For the Lord of Naomi, I hope I don't look dumb. I'm just following instructions. And she chilling. And, you know, Boaz, slightly arising from his slumber, is like, what is this Chattin doing at my foot? Hey, how you pull up in my crib? He is now like, you Ruth, the one who I let tend to my crops, or who I let on my field. What you doing at my foot? Oh well, not gonna lie, I'm following the instructions of my stepmother Naomi, cause she said that you was a kinsman to her husband, and that like there was something that needed to be done because like you was up next in line to marry me and stuff because I didn't have no kids. So that's why she sent me here. As much as I am irritated that throughout the entire course of me doing that thing, it wasn't focused. I'm not surprised considering all the issues I encountered with making this video, but also like, what was I doing? Because I didn't just do it once, I did it twice. I did it 2 different times. What is this Chattin doing at my foot? And after Ruth explains everything that's going on to him, he's like,
Blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter end than at the beginning, inasmuch as thou followedest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not, I will give to thee all that thou requirest. For all the city of my people does know that thou art a virtuous woman. Now it is true that I am thy near kinsman, howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I.
Something they don't talk about enough, which is crazy because I didn't even realize or find out about this until I read the Bible myself. And I was like, why don't nobody talk about the fact that there was a whole other person before Boaz? Now, he didn't play as vital of a role, but he made her aware that like, yes, I am a close kinsman, but there's actually somebody in line before me who you have to go through and like talk to before you can get to me. Boaz approaches him and is like, yo, so you know that girl Ruth, Naomi's daughter-in-law? So boom, she gotta get married to whoever up next in line, and that's you. He like, cool. You know, I get me a nice little life and stuff, settle down, have me some kids. I'm gonna need to stop you right there, Playboy. If y'all have any kids, they cannot take your name because they belong to her deceased husband. Alright, I'm gonna head out. Truly, that was a non-negotiable for the person who was before Boaz. He said, if I cannot have the children in my own name, then I don't feel comfortable taking over and like marrying her. But Boaz was like, Alright then, player, you made your choice. Cometh hither. A big misconception between people of thinking that Ruth and Boaz got married out of this like magical love story, when in actuality it was out of obligation. It was, they're doing this because it was the common practice, because in a sense it needed to be done, not because like he saw her in the field and was like, oh, she is truly a beautiful, virtuous woman. You know, Proverbs doesn't even exist yet at this time, but she really giving off Proverbs 31 woman, you know? It's like, that was not the case. She followed the instructions of Naomi, explained to Boaz the situation, and he was like, oh, that's true. So let me go clear things up in case you gotta actually go over to this person. They said no, and I'll pick up the load. Then they go through the whole like legal mumbo jumbo. It says that he purchases her, basically just wanted to make it clear to like the legal people, she's not my biological wife, and she's not like officially marrying to me, but I'm fulfilling my obligation as kinsman to bring back this dead lineage, to make sure that the name of her husband proceeds on. And I'm also here to claim any land that was in his name, to give it to her because it's her right. So I don't know where people get misogyny in the Bible, but the last time I checked, a lot of them the Anic laws actually protect women, and the Bible in and of itself still protects women. So I think it's just getting lost in translation, which is why you should be better in the Bible yourself. That's what am I even talking about? Boom bada bing, bing bada boom. They link up. She becomes Bergarnanan, and she bears her child. The lineage is saved. She gets her land. She gets her son. And if you go ahead and you don't, let's ignore all of the notes and stuff that I've written in my Bible. If you go ahead and you look right there, it says the generations to David. Yes, from Ruth the Moabite, laid at the foot of Boaz, came David, the greatest king in the Bible and of all time. Period. No competition. If you read the Bible, you will see that Jesus' lineage is very, very diverse, where his bloodline is coming from the most weird place, because even if you read through the Gospels, everyone is like, ain't no king coming out of Bethlehem. Ain't that Jesus of Nazareth? Ain't nobody coming out of Nazareth. Ain't he Mary and Joseph's son? The carpenter, or the whatever he is. Girl, please, ain't no son of God coming from those conditions. He need to be coming from like the king's lineage. He need to be on like a golden throne or something like that. He is too poor to be the son of Christ. But that's exactly what God did. Why? Because God made himself the lowest to redeem us at the highest.
5, 6, 7, or 8, like a cheerleading routine.
Because if God sent Jesus as a king, he would then turn away from God even more. It's so strange, and it's kind of hard to explain, but God did everything on purpose. Jesus' lineage is not clean Israelites. It's not clean Jews. Down to the lineage of David, who Jesus came from, the bloodline of David, has Moabites involved. Again, remember there was a time where God said, I don't want y'all mixing and mingling with them people. But there is a lot more being said in the book of Ruth than just, here's a story of a woman who sacrificed and gave up what she knew to pursue something else, and then, following the tradition that she chose to follow, now we bring forth the lineage of David, which then bore the lineage of Christ. But I think it's important that we now replace Naomi with God and Ruth with ourselves, because Ruth not know the Israeli God. She did not know the life and morals and principles of the Jews. She didn't. That's not where she was from. That's not what she grew up with. But she said, I refuse to leave Naomi, and I am willing to give up everything that I have ever known to continue and walk a life with Naomi. And if Naomi said, I need you to jump, Ruth said, how high and how far? Now replace that with God and ourselves. That's the type of relationship God wants us to have with him, where it does not matter what is going on in our lives. We are willing to drop and give up any and everything that we have ever known in the pursuit of Christ, for the love of God, with the faith that God will provide for us. Because even in this moment of Naomi giving Ruth these instructions, she could have easily questioned her and been like, so you really expect me to go up in this man's house, lay at his feet, and then he just gonna magically want to marry me? Listen, he was nice in all the fields, but I don't think he that crazy. Like, what's really and what do you even mean this kinship thing? Like, what is going on with you Israelites? She could have been that type of person. Ruth, being outside or coming from outside of the faith, could have easily questioned any and everything that Naomi had ever told her, but she didn't. She had faith in a God that she had only known for a short amount of time. Because even in the beginning where she says, I will follow your God and everything, that means that even when she was married to Naomi's son, she was probably still following the practices of the Moabites and only converted after the fact. And yet she still had more than enough faith to say, if these are the instructions you're giving me, I will follow them, and I will have the faith that your God will cover me and protect me and guide me in the way that I need to. Brody, my G, my guy, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Believing that in every move that we make, even if we might be unsure, still having the faith that, you know what, it's going to work. It's going to pull through if this is what it's supposed to be. Imagine now Boaz being an opportunity. Say that there's this house, or, you know, for my situation recently, it's a job. It's not like a particular job, but let's just say in this instance, it is a very, very, very specific kind of job. And you're like, God, I really, really, really want this opportunity. Like, I want this chance for myself. And now here's God now placing this opportunity on the bed, resting. And God is like, all right, then. You say you want it, right? Here's a list of instructions that you now have to follow in order to do it. First, you gotta go and actually be in a location where that opportunity exists. Did it come at the cost of sacrificing everything that you previously had? Yes, but you said you want to advance, so I need you to start over. I need you to start anew. Ruth leaving behind her family, friends, lifestyle to go to Bethlehem and live a life that she has no idea what she's doing, but she's following the guidance of Naomi, which is in our situation, God. God is like, all right, so boom, I'm not going to leave you astray. Here are some things that I'm going to do to make sure that you're still well fed, you're home, you're housed, you're good. And he introduces you to somebody, right? And this person is very generous. This person is strong in their faith, and without question, they clothe you, they feed you, they protect you, and they guide you. No question, like they're like, listen, you don't have to tell me no type of sob story or anything. I'm just doing this out of the goodness of my heart because I have the opportunity and the ability to, so why not? You know what I mean? And so then you continue to connect with this person. You get to talking. All of a sudden, you find out either from them or from God or somebody sent by God that, hey, this person is actually a strong affiliate with this job or this industry that you're trying to get into. So then you're like, God, I do not want this opportunity to go to waste. Like you sprint to God with this information. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this? And God is like, okay, if you follow these instructions and have the faith that I'm telling you the truth and that I will work this out for you, you will now be resting at the foot of your opportunity. And all you gotta do now is let me wake them up. and let it roll. So then you follow. You know, he's like, I need you to go do this. I'm gonna need you to change up your wardrobe because the way that you're dressing and presenting yourself is not the best. I need you to tweak this stuff, you know. I need you to pray and fast and meditate for a little bit. I need you to become more consistent, change up some habits. It might feel like it's a lot to do, but it is all to prepare you to lay at the foot of your opportunity. So then you follow, and the day comes. And there you are, resting at the foot of your opportunity. God wakes it up and it's right there. Now, what might happen is, let's say that while you were there, you were still just throwing out applications all over the place. Another place reaches out to you, and it might seem like, you know, a better option until there's that one thing that you're just kind of like, That was God being like, I could have easily gave that to you, but I knew that there was some fine print that currently has a lot of people wishing that they hadn't taken this job, so I'm protecting you. Promise. And now here you are in union with the job that you prayed for and the opportunity that you prayed for, because you had the faith to say, even though I am sacrificing a lot, I know that the reward and the blessing is going to be unfathomable. Like, it's going to be more than I ever prayed for. And if you want to think on a more grander scale, the kingdom and inheritance of God. When you choose to follow Christ, you are making an active decision to reject your flesh, to deny yourself of your past, of what life could be. You're saying, I am choosing to step away from the world, to live a life of guidance by Christ, with the hope of laying at the foot of God to then inherit the kingdom of God. That was so... Yo, run it back. You're saying, I am choosing to step away from the world, to live a life of guidance by Christ, with the hope of laying at the foot of God to then inherit the kingdom of God. The book of Ruth, in actuality, has absolutely nothing to do with love and romance and being patient to find the one that you... No, it has everything to say with be open and willing to sacrifice and have the patience and the faith to believe that God will provide for you in whatever it is that is to come. That if you truly want something, that you have enough faith, that if God says, I need you to sell every last thing that you have and put that money up. I need you to leave your big corporate your 6-figure job and go work at McDonald's for the next 3 weeks. That you have enough faith to believe that the reason he's telling you to downgrade is because you have a massive upgrade coming. Girl is spitting. I'm telling you, every time I get like this, it's no longer my words. Those are strictly the words of the Lord coming through me. I am being used as a vessel because I felt that to my core, and I was the one that said it. That you have a massive blessing that will take you farther than either of those will. That's how God operates. That's why stories like the book of Ruth exist. Now, if you want something that is 110%, most definitely undeniably about romance, but can also be interpreted about like our relationship with Christ, is the Song of Psalms. If there is any book in the Bible that has a massive emphasis on love and romance, it is Songs of Solomon. And I know there's like this big like joke about it. It's kind of like, is this Christian fan fiction? It's not. It's just like intimacy in Christianity shouldn't be something that's like looked down on or like shunned, which I feel like is something that like is kind of being reversed and kind of talked about and brought up now for like millennials and Gen Z. But I know like even when I was younger growing up in church, Adventist church, predominantly Jamaican Adventist church, it was very heavy on if you sleep with nobody before you're married, God go get you. Your day is numbered, but you're sus. And you're not married. If you have no pitney before you're married, you're shame.
Shame
Go kill you.
bad.
That was kind of the memo. And then you read the Bible and it's like, it's highly advised against. You know, it's probably not the best thing to do. But if you were living a life apart from God and that's where you're coming from, God isn't judging you. God isn't going to strike you down. He's actually coming to redeem you, because it's not like he's going to, like, he can't restore your virginity and he's not going to remove your child. He's going to save you and your child. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point is that you're coming from something to grow and become something else. You know what I mean? But honestly, like, I really was sitting down and thinking about it. It's like, why do so many people try to make it seem as though, you know, the story of Ruth and Boaz is this magical love story when it's not? Like, I think I even have a TikTok saved to my phone from 2021, I believe, of a guy who was like, you know, wait patiently for your Boaz and don't settle for broke ass, disrespectful ass.
To all the girls who are in a hurry to have a boyfriend or get married, a piece of advice. Ruth patiently waited for her person Boaz. While you are waiting for your Boaz, don't settle for any of his relatives. Dumb ass, cheating ass, broke ass, drunk ass, lazy ass, locked up ass, good for nothing ass. Wait for your Boaz and make sure he respects your ass.
It's like, it's funny. Don't get me wrong, it's real funny. But that's not what that story is about. It's not. But there is another story that talks about dedication and commitment, and you know, that's the type of love that I seek, you know, the type of man of God that I'm looking for. But that is for another video. Let's just say that that person was more than willing to work nearly 20 years for the person he wanted. And nowadays some people don't even want to work 2 days attention, much less. Yo, times are different, bro. Because even think that, like, if somebody was to try to do this now, Ruth wouldn't even be able to, like, walk in peace in the streets, much less to make it on this man's farm. Before I was saying, he like, so why exactly should, you know, what do you bring to the table? No, why am I expected to just give you crops and food and water and stuff like that? Like, you gotta do something. Like, it's gotta be like a trade-off. We should also all try to be like Boaz, be generous and bless those who are less than us. I try to. I do. It's just that I don't really be carrying around cash with me like that, and I'm, you know, currently receiving my own blessings. But once I receive my blessings, I should now also be turning around and blessing others. You know, that's how the cycle should be. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's all that we have for episode 1. Now, this is the notebook that I was using to plan, and when I say that I had a whole thing prepared, recorded it, and it was just it was a lot. Okay, it was a lot, and I just opted to go a different route about it. You know, because I feel like reading the Bible should be fun equally as much as it is educational, because there's a lot of funny stories in the Bible. If you ever read the Bible from front to back, or just like in general, you are gonna feel so many emotions. You're gonna want to fight so many people. You're gonna want to cry. You're gonna feel convicted. You're gonna be like, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord, that you are not like how you were in the Old Testament, or else we would all be cooked. So I hope y'all have enjoyed my shenanigans and my nonsense. I'm surprised that nobody came knocking on my door asking me what kind of sound that was when I leaped onto my bed, you know? I hope you all have a good rest of your day. If you haven't already, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you don't feel like doing all that, go check out my other videos, you know? We've been at this for a little over a year and a half. We hit 2 years in the summer. And movements. We making moves, you know? We're really starting to get into it, you know, because I am trying to really have a consistent series on my page, because the vlogs and stuff are really far and in between, because Brody, I just don't be having nowhere really to go. If I can figure out the train and bus system, we might be taking some adventures. So I have to overcome filming in public, because there's just something about feeling as though people are watching you, but knowing that, like, even if they are, they probably won't say anything, and the most that some people will actually do is like come join you. You know, it's all, this entire year is strictly faith, and it will be like that for the rest of eternity. So whatever God has planned for me and for this channel, we gonna move with the flow. We gonna be like Ruth and be like, we gonna just do as it do and have faith that it's gonna work. If you tell me to go lay at the foot of that opportunity, here is the sea of opportunities for the year 2026. Make sure that you're leaping into your year of opportunities. Take a chance and just let it flow. At anything that comes, you take it and you embrace it, and you give grace and praise to the person who gave it to you. Right? Anyways, remember, God loves you. I love you. You married to somebody, even if you think that you don't. I promise you that you do. And if you don't think that an earthly person does, your heavenly Father cares a lot about you, and he's just sitting down next to you waiting for you to say, "Dear God," and he's all ears. I'm gonna go try and find some water to drink because my throat's a little dry. Stay safe during these winter months, because yeah, the weather system is acting up this year. Every year is a dice roll. One winter it feels like summer, and then the next winter it's just snowstorm after snowstorm after hail, rain, and snowstorm. It's just like, oh my goodness. Stay safe, stay warm, bless those when you have the opportunity, and stay blessed yourselves. And I'll catch y'all in the next video.
I want it in the worst ways, oh baby. It's a shame that we don't operate well, baby. Cause you're bad for my health, I swear you go to hell. Take the L, I don't wanna see you swell no more. And you